and 2 and 1. We are live. There it is. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the Weather Center channel. I know I've been away for a little bit, very latent in the videos that I've been providing to you guys. And pardon the audio, we are going to be using the lapel mic again this evening. I want to give it another test run, another dry run before hopefully I change the setup here in the weather office. So we don't really have too much to talk about this evening as well. That's probably another contributing factor to why I've been a little latent in my videos nowadays. I understand that daily updates are better than no updates, but, I mean, while we're in the middle of a break, I just don't see the desire to do full-fledged Weather Center segments, and there's still a lot of things I need to adjust and play around with. So, but we'll get there. We'll definitely get back to it. And honestly, I'm noticing that I probably should be posting more often than not just because of the fact that I do have AdSense turned on and it's a little extra fluff money at the end of the month. So, maybe I'll get back into the habit just for that name or that main reason. Super Charas, welcome in. Nomad Cat 4, good to see you as always. We'll get started here in a moment. I don't expect too many people to tune in tonight. Number one, I kind of broke the law and skipped yesterday because I just had too much going on and a lot to still do in the background. Figured today we might have a little bit more to talk about. I thought we would, but not too much. Mainly still looking at discontinuity and, I guess, conflicting solutions between our main models. This is what we're looking at this evening. We have our clean long-wave infrared satellite shot looping through. And truthfully, even though we have all this high cloud cover screaming across the south with our STJ, the main weather player really is going to be not only this next baroclinic system that's going to help to intensify a couple things, but also this cutoff low that is mainly just stationary. I'll go cut off low, COL, cutoff low. No white Christmas for Florida. Shoot, I wish. Definitely wish. But nope, not in our case. In fact, it's probably going to be mild and wet for Christmas, unfortunately. At least into, I think it's late Sunday. We'll have to double check. We'll definitely have to double check. Ethan's Life, welcome in. Sharon Jackson, who's getting snow? Not Florida. I agree, unfortunately. Yeah, in the desert southwest is where all the action is going to be, at least for the time being, until that system can finally get picked up by this next trough and moved along. That's what's so difficult about these cutoff lows. And if you look, this is a traditional Rex block pattern right here. I've used that terminology before, but we have our upper ridge axes over the west impacting the northern and central Rockies, and then we have another very aggressive cold trough moving in with a baroclinic system supported by it, and then underneath that ridge, which is why our upper low right here is not going anywhere. It's just kind of stagnant. That's why it's called a Rex block, because it's blocked. It's stuck. It's underneath the ridge until this trough can finally come in and give it. I'll go ahead and draw a very, very lame, there we go, a little lame boot. It's going to give it the boot and kick it on out of there finally and move it off to the east and eventually the northeast. Janice, welcome in. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. DPK, hopefully no rain for Florida on the 29th. I had just saw your comment, too. I was going to respond back, but I figured, he'll probably be in the live stream. Mick and Marley, howdy, howdy. Good to see you. So, yeah, guys, this is about it. Hello there, Anthony. I think I have a Christmas present for you, Naz. Oh, shoot. I wonder what that could be, truthfully. Not even going to lie. Rain next week is expected, which is normal for this time of year. It will be cool and mild, but not freezing and hot. No, I agree. Good old rain. Good old rain. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's, truthfully, guys, I feel bad for such an uneventful Thursday live stream. I know I've already broken the rules, like I said, and we were supposed to do this yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if we barely got 100 views on this live stream because we're out of the norm. But there just really isn't enough to talk about. We have the usual people saying that things are getting worse and things need to be watched and stuff like that, but, the only area that we're really seeing a lot of action right now is down there in California. That's about it. No one else is seeing anything just yet. And, I mean, we will, slowly but surely, we're going to get there. But, just not right now. And, yes, we're looking at doing a stream tomorrow. I should be off of work just a little early. Not too early. I wish a little earlier, but not early enough to where I could get a couple other things done. Miss Leah, welcome back. Good to see you again. I mean, if you want to whine about the cold, I actually really enjoy the cold. I actually love it down here. Love it down here. What am I saying? Love it down here. I'm saying, I mean, I love the cold weather down here. Excuse me. I mean, I do like it down here. Don't get me wrong, but you guys know what I'm saying. Can still see very, very dense cold air over the eastern half of Canada, and you can actually see it really spill in south, getting pulled in by this other baroclinic low, or I should say barotropic system, because you can see the lows back here, but the jet's pummeling right up and through. It's a type A comma feature at this point. Pretty neat to see. So yeah, we'll go ahead and dig into the models. I have a couple of things on the docket tonight just to discuss. Tropical tidbits just show the new hazard map for the end of the month for South Florida above rainfall amounts. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, we're going to be looking at, and I can pull that up too. I think the European Ensembles has a 40-day precip projection chart that I can pull up. I glanced at it earlier. Oh gosh, you were still battling the pneumonia. Are you doing much better now? The cold is not painful. At least down here in Florida, it's barely cold. Honestly, I got to zoom the camera out. I just realized I'm like way zoomed in on my face. There we go. I don't know how that happened. Y'all are probably looking up my nose at this point. But not too much to discuss tonight. Just a couple little laundry list items. Discuss the storm system for Christmas weekend, which we'll get into here momentarily. I wrote down, believe it or not, discouraged about 2024 hurricane videos because there is a very, very recognizable double standard flying around out there. And it's rough to see. I also posted something on my Instagram earlier today kind of mentioning that, there's a lot of harsh feedback and a lot of harsh criticism out there. And it takes a special type of person to do what we do on a regular basis as weather enthusiasts and meteorologists. Because, boy, is some of the general public out there very quick to whoosh and strike up their pitchforks and their torches and whatnot. So, shoot. But anyways, that's another piece of the puzzle. I want to let you guys know, if you don't follow me and you have a TikTok, my TikTok is, praise God, it's growing. Since that last event in the Southeast this past weekend, we've actually gained a total of just over 500 followers on there. We're approaching 600 followers now. Scoffable numbers, but being someone who's a relic to TikTok and still learning how to, operate it and still use it, feeling like an old man, I think we're doing okay. We're doing pretty decent for ourselves. If you guys can spread the word and follow the TikTok, that'd be wonderful. And then last but not least, I know that PM is going to be very excited about that. My Twitter/X is officially live, and that's something brand spanking new that I'm going to have to also immerse myself in and learn how to properly utilize it as another platform, another tool. If Mr. Brian, Florida Man, joins us tonight, he'll be probably stoked to hear that as well. But X is up and running. Same call sign. Look at that. The Navy is coming out of me already. Same profile name, though, username, Weather Center Nazario, WX Center Nazario. So yeah, I only have one post on there so far, probably zilch followers. I follow a few weather pages. I need to take the time to immerse myself into that, as well as continue to familiarize myself with the way to properly execute my videos on TikTok. One thing is for certain, I need to get away from flipping doing the same thing I usually do on this and doing the classic, welcome back to Weather Center Nazario. We're going to be doing, no one cares about that. TikTok is very fast paced. So I'm still learning that as I go. I need to start being a little bit more hypey on TikTok, I feel like, than YouTube. But yes, Twitter/X is finally up and running. I can verify for you guys too real quick. I'll pull it up. Let's see. X. Oh, I got a notification. Let's see. Did somebody follow me? Nope. Just people notifications. Notifications about how I have contacts on X. But yep, there you go. Weather Center, you can't really see it, but Weather Center Nazario is up and running on the X platform now. Looks very weird, but I like it. I like it. So we're ready to rock and roll on there. But all right, let's go ahead and get into some weather business. To answer your question, how close are we? It's going to be a tough call, to tell you the truth. Yeah, no one have a long attention span. Please do not yell or, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to go yelling or anything like that. When I say hypey, I mean I just need to get into it immediately, as opposed to doing a formalized introduction. Because I think that's what's also shooting me in the foot. Some people don't want to watch because they have to listen to dare I say, about 10 seconds of me introducing myself. Um, my handle is the same as always. It's just WX Center Nazario. I think all one word. Yeah, WX Center Nazario. All one word put together, crammed together, because they wouldn't let me put an underscore in there. But let's see. How bad do you think the Christmas system will be? Or do you think the system will be bad? No, I don't think it's going to be, you know, it really depends, because for a while now, a lot of folks were talking about this area. A lot of folks are mentioning that we could see some pretty hellacious impacts over the Dakotas, parts of the Intermountain West, the lee side of the Rockies, or the Front Range of the Rockies, excuse me. But I think we should probably pay just a little more attention to down here, a very familiar region of the United States, the Deep South and the western extremity of the Southeast region, because I've been noticing one particular trend in this area, or this quadrant of the storm, I guess, has been very wishy-washy, whereas this has been becoming more and more defined. And you could once again see that that trademark air mass collision right in through there. And so I do think that there is going to likely be some kind of a severe weather highlight over the south for that situation, that setup. The same thing on our GFS. I know this is 18Z, but even the 18Z, yeah, look at that. 18Z shows really, really good collision between our polar air surging through the Great Plains, the Great Basin, Intermountain West, Four Corners, and then we have this modified tropical / leftover polar air mass down there that's really going to help to ignite everything. And there's also a very weak embedded shortwave. Our models, for some reason, are very hesitant to show, but there is a weak low pressure right in through there that's trying to undergo further cyclogenesis. But a lot of our models, besides the Canadian model now, really don't have a lot of confidence in it. And then we have this frontal extremity down up and through here, a little bit of a weak warm sector, another system down in here. And then this is kind of like its own little standalone perturbation that sort of blends in with the frontal line, because we have so many different jets, so many different jet fingers popping off around this area. I think I have the 300 millibar chart pulled up so you guys can see. Yeah, here we go. Like, look at how many different fingers of the jet we have everywhere across that area. We have one still digging in down here. We have one area right in through here. We have our main lower latitude jet right here. We have another one digging in right here. This is like an analyst's nightmare, in my my opinion. You got to kind of think, where's the front? Or where are the fronts? How many fronts do we have in there? You can argue that there's one here, one probably there, and then you don't really get any kind of baroclinicity or temperature discontinuity around the subtropical jet because there's no temperature gradient with it. And you can see what's mainly responsible is this very aggressive jet max. You can see it's split into the north, split into the south, and kind of becoming very diffuse as it heads towards California. And that's what's going to cause chaos on a lot of our charts, and probably our analysis charts for that matter, both on WPC and back at the 25th OWS, where I used to do a lot of analysis. And it doesn't get any better. It does not get any better after that. If you look at this, it just becomes even worse. You go down towards the 28th and the 29th, and look at that. This is why I do think we will likely see some sort of a low formation down there. I don't know why our models are very hesitant, but just seeing this very, very intense acceleration in our lower latitude jet, I do think we're going to have some kind of a secondary low system form up down there. Now, I'm not saying that's going to cause severe weather, but I do think we'll have something go cyclogenetic down there. Cyclogenesis will occur because you have two conflicting jet streams. I should say like four conflicting fingers of the jet. You have this one coming in, that's not the right color. You have this one coming in like so. That's our PFJ. And then in the pink here, the violet pink, you have our subtropical jet. So we have this really nice area of shared energy and multiple minor and major shortwave vortices that are wandering through the pattern right through there. So I think I am a little more on, Dark Earth, I was just thinking about you. It's funny you pop in right now. I do think the Canadian model is onto something. I do think that, once again, our Canadian model is doing the best out of most of our major models, because if you look, it highlights this possible severe weather event very well, this aggressive low pressure system that's moving into the Midwest. And if you notice, the Canadian model is the only one that picks up on that acceleration in our winds down there and is actually, I'll say it, ballsy enough to form up another low pressure system. I don't think that's going to be anything really severe because we're not going to be in a warm environment. We're not going to have a whole lot of buoyancy with it. you could see, and oh yeah, actually, you know what? I don't know. We'll have to further investigate that. This isn't until the 28th, the 29th ish. There's our 570 line. So there's our difference between our not so subtropical air and our actual subtropical air. So you never know, but I do think that the Canadian model is onto something, especially with such good acceleration in our jet down there. If I switch over to 250, there you go. Look at that. Very, very potent push of subtropical jet energy with that interaction of our polar front over the plains, over the south, fueling that shared energy quadrant or that shared energy region. So we'll have to wait and see. Our models have been very back and forth. One day it's there, one day it's not. One model run it's there, one model run it's not. I don't understand why. It's been very wishy-washy for some reason, but it is what it is. And then the icon doesn't really do us any favors as well. It shows that one system, very, very aggressive line of thunderstorm activity forming up over the Texarkana, Louisiana area for that matter. And then all it does is it shoots a band of precip out of there. It's very weird. It's like a laser beam of rain. Look at that. That's like our low, I guess you could call it. Just gets sucked into this frontal band. And then that's it. Then it's cold just after Christmas. Right before Christmas, it's probably going to be really warm down here as we get all that good warm air advection occurring on the front portion of the leading edge of that frontal boundary. And then there you have it. Moves through. The only piece of the puzzle that has me, of course, naturally concerned is if you go through time on all of our models, look at this very, very elongated low-level jet. Not the most aggressive, not the most strong low-level jet we've seen so far this, wintertime / late fall, now officially winter. But it does span the entirety of the country all the way up into James Bay. So that's a very, very good-looking trademark fetch of warm air advection and an acceleration in our winds down in the low levels. And if you come over to your, let's see, where's the dew point at? We'll just use the relative humidity. There you go. Good moist fetch, or as we used to like to make fun of it, a moist tongue going all the way up into Canada. And you can see it too. Look at how it starts off. It's pretty awesome when you watch it fall through or go through. So you see how we have dry air over the plains, over the deep south and southeast, and then as soon as that gateway opens up, look at how that moisture just gets rapidly pulled to the north. And then there's our dry air entrainment versus our moist air barrier, if you want to call it that. So that's why I do think they're going to have a pretty decent shot at some severe weather. We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. There he is. There's Daniel Butler. Welcome back, finally. Are you the infamous missing Daniel people were talking about? Yes, I believe that is him, I hope, because all of a sudden there's been like 4 different Daniels that have popped out of the woodwork all saying the same thing. I don't know if Daniel has multiple accounts or what, but I thought that has been weird. But if it is you, I'm very grateful to see you back in the chat. It's great to have you back. I know a lot of us are probably on the exact same page. We've been thinking about you and hoping all the best. But yeah, so that's really it. That's the main thing we're watching right now. I do believe the Canadian model is onto something in terms of forming up a secondary low pressure down there in the Gulf. Whether it actually organizes, we'll have to see, because obviously this is now our standalone model thinking that way. If I were to go back to, I believe, 0Z GFS, it was either I think the GFS wasn't calling for it. Yeah, the GFS does not have anything down there. I think it was the Euro overnight at 0Z that actually still carried our low system down there. Yeah, there it goes. So see, the Euro is back and forth on it. Has a low pressure system forming up, and then it kind of disappears. Big old system kicking up the East Coast into the Northeast and really affecting the mid-Atlantic states. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if overnight, once again, the Euro goes back into thinking we're going to have a low and then back into not thinking that. So it's going to be a bit of a tricky forecast. I think if we do have such strong jet level winds, we're going to have the vorticity and the upward vertical velocities to support some sort of a low pressure genesis. So, that's just my early prognosis. We will see what happens. We should see more severe weather and heavier rain. I do think we'll have the possibility or a good run for severe weather down here. Not for us. I don't think so in Florida. What I'm saying is we could see some low pressure genesis or cyclogenesis happen over the Gulf if we do get that sudden increase in our jet down over the Gulf and through the southeast. But I'm definitely betting that we'll see some kind of a severe highlight from Storm Prediction Center for this general area. especially with a really good fetch of warm air coming out of the south, really good moist tongue extending all the way up like this, even though I didn't mean to do that. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to crash tropical tidbits. And yeah, so I mean, look at that. That's going to be a very expansive. This is a actually, if I'm being honest, this is more of a trademark severe weather tornado setup than a lot of the stuff we've seen so far. Usually we have a very, very strong low pressure somewhere up here with a big old warm front over the Great Lakes approaching the Canadian-US border, and all of this is your area of unstable air. So we'll have to see if we can get all this modified polar air to kind of modify out and mix out entirely. And then if it does, that'll open up the gateway for some good thunderstorm activity. If it does stay modified polar and it stays a little cooler, we'll have more stability down there. We probably won't have much more than a very ferocious rainmaker for everybody. Uh-oh, well, that's not good. So you know what? Now that we're talking El Nino and weakening, as a matter of fact, let's go on here and take a look at those analysis charts, because I know they do have the analyses on here. So the 3-4 index is still holding steady. That one is showing marginal kind of trends. That one's showing marginal, and then 1 and 2. Oh, there it is. Yep. There you go. So we have the El Nino 1 and 2, which is way out into the western portions of the Pacific, already weakening. So yeah, very, very interesting. So we already are starting to see pieces of El Nino begin to break off. And this has been on a downward trend since late November. We had a bit of a spike as we rolled towards the beginning of December, and then it's just been steadily decreasing. So that's one piece of the puzzle. One piece of the puzzle right there. And all right, guys, so now let's open up another can of worms, and I may get some shade. Probably not, because not a lot of people are watching my channel these days. And going back to what I'd mentioned about being discouraged about 2024 hurricane videos is there's a lot of, I'm just going to say there's a lot of double standards out there on YouTube that I'm really noticing. And I can actually take notice of this because I have not been putting out as much content. Because, back during hurricane season and back when I was doing videos every day, live streams every other day, constantly, I really didn't have a lot of time to sit down and kind of just look at everything. Kind of look at Instagram, look at TikTok, look at YouTube, look at all the comments, look at all the posts, look at all the shared reactions, etc. And there's a gigantic double standard out there for a number of pages. And I'm noticing that it doesn't only span to the people who have a huge subscriber base or a huge following. It's kind of a weird biasing towards specific channels. And I don't think it's intentional. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the type of people who tune into certain channels. But some channels, they'll put out preliminary hurricane updates, preliminary discussions on what 2024 could be like, my channel included. And a lot of us out there will immediately get the blaze. They'll get the flame, and they'll mention, you're talking about something that's still X amount of time away, and you're talking about hyping and stuff like that. You're hyping the hurricane season when the other hurricane season ain't even done yet. Blah, blah, blah. But then I'll see other channels where they'll begin to discuss the 2024 hurricane season, and a large majority of their viewers all say the same thing. Oh, wow, you're the only one talking about this. Why is no one else talking about the hurricane season? This is brilliant information. We should be talking about this early in advance, especially if it's bad. And it's like, how do you win this war? How do you win this battle? You're danged if you do, and you're danged if you don't. So I don't, it is kind of discouraging, I'll be honest with you, from a personal level, because I can adamantly stand on my soapbox and talk hurricane season and beyond for hours on hours on hours. Will I probably be the only one spewing hot air at the camera with no other viewer? Probably, because I'll just talk forever and a day. But it is, somewhat personally discouraging when you put out, I'll argue, more viable information than some other sources. And that's not me being cocky. That's me being totally honest. And, I'll get blown up for it. But then the other guy, as what I'll say hypothetically, or metaphorically, I should say, will put out the same type of video just with less information. And it's weird because everybody over there and all the new viewers that they get will praise them. But then if someone like me or whoever else makes a video discussing the same thing and simply warning folks to stay awake next hurricane season, you get yelled at for it. And I don't understand. I don't get it. Especially to folks who watch from down in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and Central America. They're watching the same channels, mine and a number of others, and when we all put out the same content, they get blown up with the hits, with the subs, with the views, etc. But then other channels get shunned as fearmongers and hype and so on and so forth. So truthfully, if I'm being very, very transparent with you guys, because I trust you that much on this channel and with the amount of time we spent together at this point, it kind of stinks. It's a huge bummer. It really is, because, yeah, I'm not even really going to go into that, but it's just something I've been noticing now. And that's why I even made the post on my Instagram, and I don't usually do that. And I know I probably shouldn't have done that, but I just explained, like, there's a lot of ruthless folks out there who are not afraid to talk down when they disagree with something. And I know that goes with everything in life. I've seen it in the fitness industry. I've seen it in the car scene. I've seen it in a lot of different areas. But, when it comes to something scientific like meteorology, it's crazy that the peanut gallery has just as much to say as if we were talking politics and arguing opinions. Like, a lot of the time, the videos that everybody puts out, not just me, I mean, granted, some people who don't have the knowledge that others do, it might be a little more opinionated or a lot more far-fetched because they're just trying their best. And I don't throw shade for them. I don't throw shade at them for that. I mean, they're trying. That's what it boils down to. We all got to try. We all got to start somewhere. It's just, the double standard is very rough. Like, if I'm being totally, it sounds like me, no, I'm not that upset. No, I'm just, like I said, whatchamacallit, is based around just the trends I've been seeing. It's been on multiple different sources, not only YouTube. It's been on like Instagram, and now most recently I'm looking at TikTok. And I'm seeing the same kind of jargon being thrown around, like especially with this pass system that just rolled through. Half of the population continues to mention that at their house they didn't see anything. And a lot of other folks will jump in and say, just because you didn't see anything doesn't mean everybody didn't see anything or no one saw anything, and so on and so forth. You're seriously just too smart for most. Seriously, those are mostly just weather for dummies. Don't you dare change. Oh, I'm not going to change. I'm definitely not going to change. There is a double standard by most people who watch weather content. Yeah, it's probably favoritism, but that's going to be with anything. If I'm thinking that weather is the only niche that has favoritism and stereotypes and biases and all that, then, oh gosh, I might as well fire myself while I'm ahead. We have Sun in Antigua. Kathy, welcome in. That's good news. I'm glad. Keep on making those videos. I loved watching them and forcing my friends to discuss it. That's funny. This conversation probably is because, no, I mean, that's definitely one of them. And how do I put this? I'm kind of at a loss, truthfully. I guess what it just boils down to is, for my own encouragement and my own internal or intrinsic motivation to keep doing what I do and try to progress and try to grow and try to get the message across, it's a bummer because, it's not the fact of the matter that some channels are liked more than others. That has nothing to do with it. What I'm saying is, if you take two people and both of them put out the exact same information, people will naturally hate the one person and then praise the other person just because of who it is. And you could put out like I'm saying, like a verbatim, if we made the exact same video, it's, I don't know, maybe it's the demographic of which video or who finds the video. It's the demographic of who's looking for that type of video. I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm going with this, because I still don't know how to adequately or properly put it without just sounding like a baby, because that's really not where this is coming from. And I stand in support of other channels as well, because I do see other channels out there who are much bigger than mine also receiving the same type of hate. And that's kind of where this comes from. It's not me standing in my corner crying. It's me starting to notice trends with a number of different sources versus a number of different sources, and it's very bizarre because it's not only my channel and my profile or whatever you want to put on the table that ends up getting bombarded by hate, while others who are talking about literally the exact same thing are getting all the praise for it. That's where it kind of baffles me. It's weird. We'll use another example for it. Let's say, for instance, I put out a video on why the bench press is excellent for chest development. I'll probably get a bunch of people who come in and say, you're going to blow out your shoulders, you're going to tear a rotator cuff, you're going to end up, focusing on your delts. But then Joe Schmo over here puts out a video on the bench press, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, huge gains with the bench. Like, dang, that's one of the best exercises used by all the golden era bodybuilders. This is great information. You know what I mean? So, the internet is complicated. Everyone loves to hate on people. Yeah, all the hate by people leads to a lack of motivation. Yeah, regardless of why I'm certain to just, oh yeah, time to make money on hate. I know, right? Welcome back, Ethan. Thank you for rejoining us. Yeah, you and Hurricane Track are the only ones talking about this. Like, seriously. That's another thing, too, is like Hurricane Track. I've seen comments on his videos, and he, once again, dives real deep into it, and he explains all the different intricacies behind why it is that we're even talking about it so early. And I fully agree. I definitely agree. And I'll see even comments on his channel like, calm down. This is exactly what people always say and nothing happens and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's a shame because he's putting out such quality information and stuff that I would love to have a conversation together about or do a video together about or a collaboration. Like, it's good stuff. And then you have other entities talking about the same principles, just not going as in depth with it. And it's a totally different environment, a totally different response to it. And it's very weird. It's almost harder to forecast than the weather itself. So that's kind of the whole big thing with the discouragement that I'm feeling. Because on top of that too, guys, I really love what I do. There's never been a bit of, especially most recently, there's never been any bit of sensationalism, hype, exaggeration, white lies, nothing like that when I've put out my content, especially within the last 2 months after I matured through watching others and trying to mimic what they do. No, I definitely don't do that anymore. Testament to God, I raise my right hand and swear on it. I do all my own stuff, and I will openly admit back in the day when I first got started outside of the Adalia coverage, there were times where I'd look at what's going on with Hurricane Lee, what's going on with so-and-so, and I would try to somewhat mimic. I see the views and I see the subs and the comments and I would try to mimic it. And I would always crash and burn. So I figured, David, you're smart. You're intelligent. You've been doing the weather for a number of years now. Just do your own thing. Who cares? And ever since then, it's been all cut and dried, genuine information. Some folks will still classify it as hype. If they want to do that, so be it. It's my best educated guess. And it's just crazy, the night and day difference between people who you can tell are copying, people who you can tell are kind of just broad brushing it because their knowledge is not as extensive, and others who only wish to do so much because they want to do enough just to get the video out and put it out there. And it's like, dang, it's rough. It really is rough. It takes a toll on you. Sometimes I feel like I should just back off and be like, yep, bad weather, good weather, like, comment, subscribe, and then call it a day. But I can't do that because I'm very passionate about what it is that I do. Indiana will get some rain this weekend and Tuesday. Yep, I agree. I've seen those comments. It's sad to where I'm making my friends like a Floridian and myself aware of the next hurricane season. I'm always invested in hurricanes anyway. Yeah, a situation like Major Hurricane Otis should not happen again. Hopefully not. Miami and Tampa should not become the next Acapulco. Hopefully not. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. That would take a very, that would be the worst element of surprise with a storm like that. We would need something to literally sneak up on us big time, and I don't think anybody or any official source is going to let that happen. I mean, shoot, the way National Hurricane Center highlighted certain things as quick as they did this year for nothing, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, so that's about it. That's the end of my tirade. Trying to think of what else we could talk about tonight, truthfully, guys. We're 34 minutes into the stream, and we've already really covered our bases. There's not a whole lot else going on out there. We can dive into more hurricane theory and stuff like that. That's pretty much all I have on my docket for the evening, was just talking about that Christmas storm. The 2024 hurricane bias is what I'll call it. And then just, yeah, plugging in my TikTok, my TikTok, my TikTok. If you guys could go and follow that bad boy. That's kind of also what I've been working on in the background for a while, is trying to get that up and coming since YouTube's a little latent. Yeah, honestly, you never know, especially if El Nino does linger around a little bit. We could see it start up a little late and then really amp up, especially with us transitioning I'm surprised no one's making videos about the expected transition from El Nino to a strong neutral to a La Nina, because that's a very, I guess you could say that's very concerning. The fact that our forecast models and our long-term predictions from CPC are starting to think that we're going to rapidly segue between segments of oscillating patterns. April, welcome in. I have a proposed chart to share. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. A pie chart. 2024 could be like 2022. Yeah, you never know. You never know. What's the chart to share? Very open to it. And maybe eventually having a Modoki El Nino that would explain why the weather is similar to that. Ooh, I've never actually heard of that, Modoki El Nino. August might be dead quiet due to dust and wind shear. Yeah, we'll have to see. It's way too early to predict dust and wind shear. I definitely don't think wind shear is going to be as much of a factor, though, if we start to see El Nino diminish and we go into more of a neutral oscillation. That'll usually squash a lot of our wind shear out there. So the big determinant would be the dust factor. The dust factor would be the big one, and I don't think there's any. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe there are some preliminary forecasts for what our African monsoonal flow will look like, and maybe we can start drawing some preliminary predictions on what that'll be like in terms of the dust shroud out there for the eastern and central Atlantic. We'll have to see. I'm sure there is. If we were to look up some sort of an international desk, I bet you 10 to 1 we could find something that could probably highlight exactly what the wind flow off of Africa will look like and how our high pressure out here will influence it. Because I know the high out here also has a big role in where that dust propagates. The chart is a 4-tiered impact chart on tropical cyclones, Cat 1 through 5, based on rain, wind, surge, and tornadoes. Are you thinking that's something we could internally make here for content? Slow mode is murdering you. I only have it set to 30 seconds. It's not too bad. I could probably, honestly, with as small of crowds as we get in here now, I could probably drop that a little bit. Probably drop it down to like maybe 15 seconds, somewhere around there. Sarin dust is already widespread through the Atlantic, according to Mike's weather page. Oh, well, let's see. Honestly, I've had no reason to look at dust in a while, so let's go ahead and see. Saharan dust layer. No, I don't really see a whole lot of dust out there. There's dust over the parts or the northern periphery of the African peninsula. But it doesn't seem like we have a lot of dust out there currently. This is more so dry air. Maybe this is dust, but I don't know about it being completely dusty across much of the Atlantic. Let me see. I thought I had something else in here that had dust on it. No, I think this is it. Lots of good low-level dry air out there. Yeah, I don't really see any indications for dust just yet. I do like the sound of that. We're definitely going to have to talk more about that on X now that I've got it up and running finally. We can start going back and forth in conversation as opposed to chatting in a live stream. Because I think that would be something revolutionary for the hurricane season, since no one really ever does that. I don't think any even official sources do things like that. So that would be very, very beneficial to a lot of people, especially if next year is as aggressive as a lot of us are making it out to be. So we'll see what happens. And that's another weird thing, too, is when it comes down to the aggressiveness of where our storms could go. You know, a few channels, including my own, have gotten flack for mentioning we could see more landfalls, more major hurricanes. But then there are other channels who will say the exact same thing, and they'll flip and say, "Thank you so much for letting us know in advance." And it's like, what the? But yeah, I don't really see very many indications out there that we have a ton of dust just yet. Maybe a little. The wind flow also wouldn't necessarily support it looking at the satellite imagery. We have winds. Low-level winds are indeed still kind of coming out of the east, but we also have very, very strong upper-level flow that's pushing out of the west towards the east that would kind of keep it sort of more or less confined to Africa. Dang, it's been a long time since I've heard the name Dr. Steve Lyons. Every time I revisit old hurricane videos from like 03, 04, 05, and so on, I'll see him on the Weather Channel. Our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. I used to watch him a lot too when I was smaller. Let's see, maybe we can see something on the true color. We'll see if there's... Oh, no, yeah, actually, never mind. I stand corrected. There is. It looks like quite a decent amount of dust out there. I stand corrected. You can definitely see it right in through here. Right there. Lots of dust out there suffocating the MDR at least. It's not everywhere, but it's definitely out there in the tropical Atlantic, keeping things at bay. No, no one's jumping to conclusions. I just do think, I mean, the writing's on the wall. If you want to kind of ignore it more or less and deny that the hurricane season's going to be boring because of whatever, then, I mean, you're going to have a bit of a wake-up call. Because if we go out of El Nino into even just a neutral pattern, you know, that right there already tells me, yep, we got to watch. I don't have to look at anything else. I just know immediately that it's going to be a whole different ballgame. And that goes without looking at charts or scientific evidence or anything like that. No models, no climatology. So, what's up, Matthew F150? Matt, welcome in. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Oh, that's okay, Super Charas. We have lots of time to get ahead of that. That's one thing we definitely have a lot of time to get on. Yes, exactly. Nomad Cat 4, I agree. I seriously want to be aware of the next season. It's just concerning to me. Well, don't be too overly concerned this early on just yet. When we get to April is when I'll say. April, May is when we should probably start hitting the fan and really pumping out information on why it is we need to be ready. Because by the time we hit April, May, we'll know. We'll know El Nino is dissipating. We'll be starting to slowly creep into that neutral setup. And we'll kind of have a better idea of exactly what it is that we're facing within the next 2 to 3 months. We still have January, February, and whoa, excuse me. We still have January, February, and March to get through first, and let's not rush the last little tail end of holidays. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. Totally. Just don't be too concerned as of just yet. Yeah, exactly. April, May is when you start really looking at, and you know, that's a video segment that I'd like to do one day is I'd like to make like a hurricane preparedness, a tornado preparedness, a severe weather preparedness video, or two maybe, especially for hurricane preparedness, because I feel like when we hear people say prepare, or when we hear folks say you better be prepared, a lot of folks think water and COVID, toilet paper, and batteries and whatnot. But truthfully, there's a lot of other things that you need to be, quote, prepared of or prepared with, all the way down to just even understanding. Like, this is going to sound very sinister, and this is probably going to, pop off on a lot of folks as hypo meters. But even something as sinister as having a preparedness escape route if your house were to go under, or your house were to get destroyed, or your house were to flood. What is the easiest way for me to get out of my house? Like, even for example, here in my own house, I know the front door and the garage are likely not going to be accessible if we were in the middle of a flood, because we have a long breezeway and we got to make a bit of a trek from the master bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, etc., to get to the garage. So that's going to be a no-go. We'd probably have to go out the back sliding door. I'd have to grab the animals and we'd hike it out there, or possibly go out of the bedroom window. Even things like that. That's preparedness right there. Like, God forbid, like, truly going all the way into the nitty-gritty of just having an escape plan if you need to escape your own house. If you're caught off guard in the middle of your car, do you know how to bail out? Do you know how to smash a window? Do you know what you're going to use to break a window? Do you know how to cut a seatbelt? Things like that. It's wild, because a lot of people don't think about that. When they hear preparedness, they're like, we got to go get water and flood the gas station, and that's it. And that's not preparedness. First of all, what are you going to do with that gas? Like, you go to the gas station and fill up your tank, but like, why? Do you really even know why? And Idalia caused $3.6 billion in cost damages. At some point, a general preparedness public service announcement would be good. Oh yeah, I'll probably do an official PSA real close, or maybe even like right on the brink of like hurricane season eve if things aren't popping off already. Yeah, everyone should be familiar with their flood zone number. Absolutely. Another piece of the puzzle, flood zone number. And as a matter of fact, if you want to go even further, understanding the topography of your local area, not only of where your house is built on or your apartment building, but also understanding, where are we likely to see the max inundation? Where does water run off the most? Where does water collect the most? Where the wind's going to be coming out of? What's going to be between you and the wind field? What could possibly come blowing in your direction? What could possibly be blown into your house? Are your cars safe if they're left outside? Are they safe inside the garage? So on and so forth. I do know my evacuation zone, though. Very good. In May, I would like to discuss evacuation zones for Florida. This is Florida-centric. Yes, we can discuss the whole country's coast. Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know what the number is, but the Bay is way too close. I've been busy, but I've been working a lot. But I've talked to the director of NHC that you're in, and he says some good news. I'll send you in a text. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Perfect. And no, not necessarily. You have been stuck at 5K for a while at this point. You might not hit 6K until May or when hurricane season starts. No, not necessarily, Daniel. Honestly, that's my own fault. That's definitely self-inflicted, because when I started putting out video coverage on this past storm system that came through the southeast, and every time I do put another video out, people start watching. It's just the fact that I'm very, very latent in my videos now. Like, as a matter of fact, we can go over to the channel real quick, and I can show you guys. I'll pull it up so you guys can see. But for example, right now, my last video was December 16th, and it's December 21st. And you could see the huge fluctuations in the views. Like, it's pretty sad, honestly. Like, look at the difference in video views: 5,006, almost 8, almost 6, almost 8, 5, 3, 1, 2, and then 392, 860, 559. Then I started making videos more consecutively again, and then I stopped and it went down again. So, and I really want to know who disliked this video. Who was the one person who disliked this video? What an idiot. There's 2 people who disliked this one. I think some people dislike videos just because they don't like to get the bad news. But yep. I'll never forget this video right here. Where did it go? Where is it? This video, where is it? Nope, this isn't near it. It's almost there, almost there. This one. This video, 79,000 views with 26 dislikes. I'm surprised that we got that many views, and then they fell off again. There's that hype video I was telling you about. Hurricane Lee to impact thousands. God, I want to delete that video. It's so cringy. It's very cringy, but you know what? We'll leave it there for old time's sake. May should be Tropical Cyclone Preparedness Month. I actually do believe, because I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, no, I agree with that. May should be Tropical Cyclone Preparedness Month. That's a great idea, great suggestion, because by then we will most definitely know what's going to happen. We'll have everyone's preliminary predictions. We will have a good estimate of what El Nino looks like or what it doesn't look like, and so on and so forth. So that'd be a good time. Why am I getting so tired? Gosh, I am so sorry. Nazari, the dislikes may be automatic, though. I believe YouTube does that for some reasons. Yeah, just like they audited my account during Hurricane Tammy. That was rough. We could have hit 5,000 followers a long time ago, but YouTube removed 300 some odd, if not even 400 people when that storm was going through. I don't know why. I feel like people need to know their evacuation plans and routes. Anyone that has imminent threat to hurricanes should be officials should be. I can't see the other thing there. Somebody drop a message in the chat. The little heart sign is blocking Matt F-150's. There we go. Should be told by officials to practice it. Oh yeah, El Nino is and will be the biggest player here. We need to. That's going to be the number one name of the game here, is watching what El Nino does. What the heck? Oh, I was wondering where the line's coming from. El Nino is going to be the number one contributing factor to what happens here. And we'll get a little bit into the weeds with the climate models again, just to kind of take a look so we can ballpark when it is we need to start paying close attention. So yeah, actually it looks like, oh, this is one of the newest runs for December right here. So we could start seeing El Nino drop as early as January, it looks like, guys. So between January and February, if we see a market decrease in our El Nino, that's a bad sign. And yeah, I do see why some of the preliminary forecasts are thinking a La Nina now, because this is starting to get really cold. Or I shouldn't say really cold, but, you know, cooler. Cooler. People who don't live in evacuation zones should not evacuate unless they need to. Yeah, I agree. Good night, Daniel. Have a good evening. I am now aware of my area limits because I was looking up data on the creeks and river near me and the times where I encounter damage during a storm. I feel so weird for that. What if people don't heed evacuation orders? Well, then, you know, if they don't, then that's when you're kind of just left to fend for yourself. YouTube algorithm, I really a pain sometimes. People don't share the videos. It also hurts the channel. Sharing does help the channel from what I know, and not going over the scheduled time or length. Yeah, you're right. I've tried call to actions or calls to action before, and no one really responds. No one ever really does them. It was the same thing on my car Instagram, on my current Instagram, on other Instagram pages that I've hosted on YouTube. You know, I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe I'm just not a likable person, but a lot of the times I'll do calls to action and no one will really respond. I'll say, like, share this, do that, show a little support for this, and nothing will happen. So I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much to an extent or something. One of the two. Daniel, have a wonderful evening. We're actually going to start getting ready to wrap up the live stream. So, but PM, I expect you to shoot me a follow on the Twitter sphere, or the X sphere as they call it now. I was in Tampa today. I should have texted you. We could have met and talked. Oh, that's a bummer. That would have been nice, actually. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the live stream. Until next, first time I saw your channel, I underestimated you and judged you, and then I remember that I shouldn't judge anyone because it's bad. And I dived in, and it was a great channel. I subbed a few months ago. Oh, well, Orthodox Boy, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, that's something I'm thinking of doing. That's something I'm really thinking of doing. It probably won't do very much, but I'm kind of thinking of doing some sort of a short, formal introduction to not only my YouTube channel, but my TikTok and my Instagram, since now they allow you to pin videos and whatnot. Nomad Cat 4, have a wonderful evening. Hey now, must end on a better note. How's Willow? Marley says hi. Willow was in here earlier. I think she left now. She was here earlier playing with paper. She has this new fascination with paper for some reason. She literally reached into my little garbage bin under my work desk right here, pulled a paper out, and just started messing with it. I'm like, you're going to make a whole mess, and your dad is not even available to clean it right now. So it's just going to be left there until the end of the workday. Malachi, no problem. Thank you very much for joining us regardless. But anyways, yeah, I'm thinking of doing an introductory video for the channel or a trailer or something like that I've been wanting to work on in the background. I haven't had time to do it. Good night, guys, and good night, David. Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Enjoy your family and friends, and keep up the good work, David. Matthew, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for that. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat with us. But anyways, before I repeat myself another 4 or 5 times, just to break the ice on the surface, because I bet a lot of folks, when they come onto my channel, they think I'm just another random person who wants to talk weather. But I mean, I'd like to think I have a decent amount of credentials to at least be taken 10% more seriously. Prior Air Force weather. Now, thankfully, I signed on the dotted line a naval weather forecaster, naval aerographer, which is great news. I can add that to my accolades. I'm now a weather forecaster and analyst for the Navy. MSU degree student, meteorology student. So, I mean, it's not like I don't know anything. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm lying to you guys. I'm just kidding. But alrighty, guys. I have a lot of things to work on, a lot of things I need to write down, too. That's another thing as well, is with me kind of getting a little lackadaisical with the channel and not doing as much, unfortunately. I sort of more or less lost my strategy, lost my game plan for what it is that I wanted to do and where I saw this channel going. And I think maybe I need to buckle down and get back to that and start really scrutinizing what it is that I plan on doing and how I want to move forward. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. We will take our time, baby steps. We're still in the lull of YouTube weather before hype season comes back. And by that, I mean hurricane season. So I can take my time, but I don't want to take too much time. That's for certain, because that's just going to cause complacency like with everybody. See, that's another thing, too. I do need a planner. I need to start mapping things out. I've been trying to write them down, but truthfully, my notebook is getting so flooded with random notes that it's just all over the place. I tried the sticky note option. That really didn't work. I need better ways of compiling my thoughts. I do have a lot of good random brain waves or brain blasts for my Jimmy Neutron fans out there, and then I'll suddenly forget. And it's boiling into other things in life, unfortunately. I want to start remembering and nailing things down, because I think that'll also help to pick up the speed on this channel and my other social media as well. I just need to start doing it again. So we'll get there, though. PM, you and I will definitely talk offline. Everybody else, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop them in the comments section below of this live stream, or reach out to me on Instagram and or TikTok, especially as we continue to try to grow the TikTok page. TikTok's already bigger than my Instagram, so Lord willing, we can hit 1,000 followers on there before the end of the month, or the new year, I should say, at this point. We'll see. Freeform app might work. I'll have to give that a try, Freeform. Let me write that down right now. I can find a pen. Freeform app. That's not a working pen. I'll just put a note on my actual phone. Freeform. Oh, you know what? I'll just look it up right now. Freeform app. Let's see. Freeform. There we go. For me, Air Force weather is more advanced than regular weather media outlets. I know that for a fact after living on the naval base when I was younger. Yeah, how much we have left here? Oh, Metallica, gosh. We're getting ready to close out right now. But I agree with you, DPK, and I'm not trying to flex or anything like that, but after marinating in civilian weather and looking at all the different sources in civilian weather, I'm coming to notice that there's a lot of things that just don't add up with what we were trained on in the United States Air Force or from Air Force Weather, AFWA. And I'm really noticing that. And deep down, I want to pull certain things apart, but I know I'm obviously not in a position to do so. So it'd be kind of nice in the next couple of years to not only say that I'm naval weather, prior Air Force weather, but also meteorologist. So, you know, if the quote clout doesn't come then maybe this just ain't it. And I don't believe that. I believe God blessed me with this gift from a young age for a reason. So we're going to stay the course. But yeah, Metallica, I do apologize. We're getting ready to close out right now. But yeah, so we'll catch you guys potentially tomorrow if I'm not already involved with family shenanigans. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know, because we also have the holiday weekend. And Mick and Marley, you do make a very valid point of him being pulled in all sorts of different directions with all that. Even today, in the middle of work, I was back and forth on and off the phone with my recruiter, on and off the phone with the VA, doing emails and still submitting paperwork. Like, you know, I thought we were done, or at least close to it, but nope, there's still a bunch of more paperwork that still needs to be done. But Lord willing, what I got word was today that by Tuesday of next week, especially since she's been updated on my release from the Ready Reserve to join the actual naval component, we might be able to rock and roll as early as next week. So we'll see what happens. Cross your fingers, guys. I'm ready to raise my right hand and get this show on the road so I can put it behind me and start focusing on other things too. Because you're absolutely right, Mick and Marley. I've definitely been very stressed and very on edge about all that. And, you know, it's true. It doesn't sound like much, but it's definitely true. I've been losing sleep at night thinking about it and everything too, because, you know, it's a whole other chapter that I thought I left behind in my life, but I guess not. And we're going to kind of see exactly where this new book, whole new book, because it's not the Air Force again. It's a totally different sister service now. So we'll see what this new book has in store for us amongst many other books that I'm currently trying to finish up. But we'll see. That's the word on the street. We were talking back and forth earlier while I was helping with paperwork and coordinating emails. And so she was saying that she's gotten updates from the Air Force Ready Reserve that they'll release me. Because that's another thing I did too. Upon my separation from the Air Force, I signed up for what's called the Individual Ready Reserve, in which case you're kind of a non-active, non-military reservist, where you have prior service. So if we do go to war, you can get called back in, kind of like a pseudo draft. And I need to be released from that to join an actual military component again. And that's kind of all we're waiting on now. And so once I'm released from that, she says it's game time, and we're just going to push everything that there is to get in there so I can raise the hand and finally be back in business. And I'm definitely going to go live. I'm definitely going to go live or videotape or do something so you guys can be a part of that. Definitely want to put that out for you guys to see so we can all kind of marinate in the moment together, okay? So I haven't forgotten about that. We're definitely going to coordinate that. I've already let my recruiter know that I have a decent-sized YouTube presence and I would like to videotape or at least stream it or do something, whatever you guys will allow me to do. So that's definitely still in the works and definitely still coming. I don't know if I can take a break, honestly. It feels so weird to take a break. The only time I'll take a break is if I'm like out of the country traveling, and even then I've already been thinking about ways to continue to stream and continue to provide coverage for you guys. So I don't know if a genuine break is going to be anytime soon. We'll see. That's the great thing about YouTube. If one person is taking time off, we have others that we can watch. May not be as great, but will work. Metallica, I appreciate what you did there. Thrilling, just thrilling. Oh yeah, I'm excited to take you guys along for the ride. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a big day. I'll openly admit I'm probably going to cry afterward. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But I know for certain, and I don't think I've ever told you guys this on this channel, but my uniforms are right in this closet right here, my old Air Force weather uniforms. And I would most definitely be a bold-faced liar if I told you guys I did not cry my eyes out like a baby the day I had to hang them up for good. I remember the last time I wore those uniforms, and even on the way home after I had signed my separation paperwork and that was it, I handed in my military ID and that was that. I was already crying when I left the gate because I was like, damn, that's that. That's the end of that. 10 years, and they just wrapped up with one signature and a take care. So we'll see. I always leave it with we'll see. This is like a second chance. This is a second chance to see exactly what it is I'm supposed to get out of my time in the military. And then, Lord willing, be able to provide benefits for my loved ones and my family and my children in the future. That's the big thing now. I'm at a point in life where everything I'm doing is trying to just set my family up for success. My future kids who are going to be going off to college for success. They're the main reason I'm working as hard as I am now. Not for me. I mean, yeah, for me, but you know what I mean. Do you think that it's possible for the Atlantic to support giant, powerful monster cyclones just like in the West Pacific? Eventually, it's possible. Eventually. Not right now, though. I don't think so. I don't think we're in that aggressive of a setup. But it will be a possibility we'll need to explore. Maybe not necessarily giant typhoons or super typhoons, but we can get some very, very strong hurricanes out here. I do believe so. But anyways, before we get distracted again, now we're overtime, and I wanted to end it a little bit ago. No offense to you guys, but thank you all very much for watching. Those are kind of the plans, and I need to buckle down and stop being almost like tired, lazy, if you will. But we'll get back to it. We're definitely going to get back to it. Excuse me. And so on and so forth. Soon, like years or decades. It could possibly be years if we continue to see these erroneous increases in sea surface temps. But just like with PM, what he was saying as well, I don't think we'll ever see the size. If we ever saw the size, I'd be a lot more concerned about other things. But whatchamacallit, we'll definitely have very, very aggressive, smaller scale, almost like super hurricanes if it comes down to it. Anyone who has had a stint in military service will always have my utmost respect. That takes a lot of guts and determination. Metallica, thank you very kindly for that, for sure. For sure, because I think the military and patriotism is a forgotten breed nowadays, and it's such a shame. And that's another reason why I've been very anxious about getting back into this, because I know the political state of this country is not the most amazing right now. But you know what? Like I said, I got to do what I got to do for retirement, for the future, and the military will help in a variety of ways. And then once I finish my degree, I can just continue to pass on education and welfare benefits down the road to children and their children's children eventually. So just setting all the pieces of the game board together for the checkmate. And Lord willing, it's a positive checkmate. Time will tell. But alrighty, folks, have a great rest of your evening. It's soon. Happy holidays. It is already December 21st. We may chat tomorrow briefly. If not, either way, I will definitely chat with you guys before the Christmas holiday to keep the holiday festivities alive on the channel. And we'll definitely meet again soon. We'll reconvene to do it all over again very soon. I can guarantee you that. So thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday night to come and talk weather, talk shenanigans, talk discouragement, talk tropics with everything that we have going on. And I look forward to a bright 2024 with you guys, and I hope that we can all dig into all the Christmas festivities that are up and coming in the next few days and really ring in the new year on as high of a note as possible. But I'll see you again before that point, so we'll talk all about it. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.